Youth of Purpose, brought to you by Uganda First.
Hello, welcome to Youth of Purpose, a show that is here to inspire you and transform you as a young person and help you to understand your country, Uganda, better, but also equip you to be able to put a brick on this country's development. Now, we've been having a lot of challenges as far as, the lockdown, the pandemic of COVID-19, and really, we are no longer in business as usual. We're trying to adapt to the new norm, which is not anywhere easy. And all this is in all the sectors, like we might say in the economy and all other sectors. And as other sectors are affected, the same way is the education sector. And today we are going to be digesting all that, how the education sector is trying to, adopt to the new norm, and how most especially the students are trying to adopt to this and try to live by adopting to this new norm. Today we are talking to a number of students from the Law Development Center, and they're going to be sharing with us how they are trying to cope with this and what are they doing, what are the challenges they are facing, and what are they doing to be able to overcome all that. Welcome to Youth of Purpose. This show is proudly brought to you by the National Secretariat for Patriotism Call, Office of the President, under the theme Uganda First. We are here, we're concerned about the issues to do with this country because we are patriotic and we are concerned citizens. Hello guys.
Hello.
Welcome to Youth of Purpose.
Thank you.
Let's kindly introduce ourselves, starting from the far right.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Boss John Bruce, and I'm the Guild Elect, LDC Kampala Campus. Thank you.
Nice having you, Bruce.
Hello. Hope everyone is okay. My name is Rebecca Eriechu. I'm a student at Law Development Center.
I hope I will not bite my tongue by trying to pronounce your name.
Don't worry.
Hello, my name is Adikin Mary. I'm also a student at the Law Development Center.
Thank you so much. So guys, kindly starting with you, paint for us a picture how life has been from the first lockdown.
Well, truthfully speaking, we never expected this to happen. A total lockdown, really so hard. But the ability to adapt to new situations is one of the things that we need as human beings. So how life has been for me, it's been tricky catching up with the new normal. The studying techniques, the online teaching, the discipline that I had to adopt. So they are literally catching up with it. It's hard, but kept on going.
I'm lucky you called it a discipline.
Yes.
But at times disciplines, are developed, and you get to have the discipline by practicing certain, characters for a given period of time.
Yes.
Bruce, how has the situation been for you?
The university was pursuing a path of online education. And with COVID-19 coming into the picture, it was a chance for them to boost on that. And I think UCU was successful in managing to push us on. We completed our education on schedule. We did not get any backlog in terms of waste of time or anything. We were able to study our final year of law school online, and actually we graduated on time.
Lucky you. Yes, how has been the situation for you?
For me, it was generally easy because when the first lockdown came in, UCU quickly adapted. So we were able to do our exams in time, finish them and move on. And then when we joined the bar last month, the bar had a full week where they oriented us on how to adapt to these new technologies, how to use Zoom, how to use Microsoft Teams, how to use Google Meet to be able to fully attend your classes and benefit without having to remain in a specific static position because you are unable to adapt to these new technologies. So the technologies and adapting to them has enabled us move on with life and not stay in one place.
Okay, so basically we will understand that at university studies or lectures contributes a little percentage. It's so much to your individual work that you do that through discussions, research and the rest. How has the situation affected you, the fact that now there is a limited number of people to be together, social distancing and all that? how have you been able to adopt? And remember, now you're doing lessons, lectures online. How have you been able to adopt the new change, most especially to do with the technology, but again, the fact that you cannot be able to connect with your fellows that easily, the same way you used to do?
These online platforms have been able to enable us to meet up with people out there, discuss. We have platforms like Google Meet, Zoom itself. You could meet up and discuss, or generally these online platforms, or discuss on WhatsApp. So basically it's been flexibility, adapting to the new system. The great challenge that I think we faced is not everyone is able to acquire data.
Before we even talk about data, talk about the gadgets that you need to do that.
Yes, the gadgets too. Not everyone has a good phone to capture those things. So I think that is the greatest challenge. Yes, you may want to interact and discuss with your friends out there, because discussions are key. You need that to pass. But because sometimes your gadgets, yes, people have terrible gadgets, then the data, yes, that has been the greatest challenge.
Bruce, how have you been able to adapt to the new norm where we have to use technology to be able to study? Some people don't have computer skills, or even people have phones, they don't know how to use them. How have you been able to adopt? And speaking for the rest of the students that you do represent, how have you been able to adopt to that?
You will not do anything productive unless you make research. Now, research on the internet comes with a number of challenges. Number one, you're not sure that the information you're getting from there is 100% accurate. But secondly, there are situations where you find that you will need to pay a certain fee of money to acquire a certain piece of information. You find yourself in a position where you have to subscribe some online libraries, and some of these resources have not been availed to the people who are trying to make this research. So I think it should be an initiative of some of these universities, or like the Law Development Center, for example. We have an online library, and students can be there, they can acquire reading material, they can acquire any kind of material that they need for their study and for their start school. But above everything is the change of culture. Personally, I think before I was old-fashioned. I'm a person who would love to hold my book. I want to feel that touch. I want to sit in the library, hold my book, read something, write it somewhere. But with the new normal, that could not be possible. So we have to adjust and know that we have changed from that old culture to the culture of being online, acquiring materials online, sharing materials online, and pushing on with our academic journey.
Amazing. Mary, how have you been able to adapt to some of the challenges that you have faced?
For me, it has been a little different, because somehow I began using some of these technologies a little earlier. When the first lockdown came, I was handling a specific mood. So I had to adapt to the technologies to have the discussions with my lecturers as regards specific key aspects that we would be addressing. So when this continued, this online system of studies, for the discussions, we usually either have them on Team or we have them on Zoom, and we are able to discuss with each other, but of course it limits us to the extent of a relational kind of social interaction, of a one-on-one, of I get to see you, you see me, or you look at me very well and explain to me a concept, and I'm able to get it. Now it's a little tricky, of you just now have to listen to the person's voice, but occasionally we ask to turn on our cameras to make it a little more socially interactive. So you just have to adapt and ensure that it's a little convenient for everyone.
Just talk about the interaction bit of it. Now you're on Zoom, and we all understand how our internet is right here in Uganda. And the moment you're just getting hyped, you're getting to understand a point someone is trying to explain, and boom, internet is off, or the network goes crazy. So how have you been able to manage that? But also, when we're done, we go to Bruce, as you tell us how you've been able to manage the hiked prices, the expensive data that we have to use to be able to access these studies, please.
Yes. So about the network disturbing, that's of course, we can't, it's not guaranteed that you're going to have a good internet connection every day. So some days your internet connection is going to be really good, and then some days someone is in the middle of explaining a really important concept and then you're kicked out of the meeting. So what happens is, if you have two lines, for example, if you have Airtel and MTN, if Airtel is playing games on you that
then you do the other one.
Quickly switch to the next, but it's a little expensive in the long run, because that would mean you're going to have both Airtel internet
data
bundle as in MTN internet bundles. So it's expensive. But then also, if you realize that your physical location is not good as regards internet connections, then when you have a class, I would advise you that you either move to a friend's place who has a better internet connection. If you can get a Wi-Fi connection, if it's a little affordable for you, then you can adapt to that so that you don't end up missing out on a load. So
you clearly bring out the inconvenience, because if I'm going to have to move to a friend's or neighbor's place for me to be able to access my studies, that's too inconveniencing.
it's extremely inconvenient.
True. Bruce, talk about the expensive data that we have to use.
Most youth they will not tell you the truth, but we would want what is most affordable. What is most affordable. We might in most cases not first look at how good is it, but is it affordable? And it was sad that the other day AfriCell crossed business in Uganda, which was really sad, because their data prices were relatively affordable now. So now that leaves you at an option of having data in bulk. Yes. For example, because you're studying, the same way you are expected maybe to go to school and pay some money is the same way a parent is expected to make a certain investment and make sure they can get you a good data package or something. So every time you're buying data in bulk, it makes it cheaper at the long run. How? Because, for instance, if you're using a MiFi, the connectivity is better when you're using a phone, because every time you're using your phone for data, every time they call you, you get out of class or something like that. So, but alternatively also, the other option at the Law Development Center is that all our sessions are recorded. So every time you're kicked out of class or every time you have internet challenges, you can always go and get that recording and you can always catch up with the class.
Okay.
Yes.
We're talking about students being able to adopt. How about the lecturers? Are they well conversant with using technology to be able to conduct these lectures?
Yes. For all the sessions we have had, I think they have had some good training, but truth be told, technology is very tricky. This day you could know something, the other day you won't know the other thing. So for some cases you find someone will have a slight problem here and there, but I think it's just a matter of time that we are here in the new normal. It's the way to go, and with time we shall get to know everything. We shall be good. Even us as students, there's a time you don't know how do I start up a Zoom meeting or something like that. For some students they might not know that, but with time I'm sure we shall get there. We are very positive that it's a good progress.
Coming to you, what has the institutions done to be able to help you as students to be able to manage this kind of situation?
They are making it easy for us to access the ICT people, because you can text them, send them a message on email, and they'll respond to you immediately, especially if you're having a challenge with any of their platforms. So basically, I think they have really aided our quick learning of how to use these platforms. Yes. And then also the fact that the network keeps kicking us out of class, in and out of class. The fact that they send these recordings for us to listen to after, it helps us catch up immediately. So it's just up to us to have the discipline to be dedicated to listen to these audio recordings after the class.
Has education become more expensive than it was before, or even this makes it a bit cheaper, that you can stay at your own place and you're not spending on transport and the rest? Kindly compare for us the situation before as far as the expense of education was, starting with you, Bruce.
Yes, talking about that, I think online learning comes with a number of challenges, yes, and it being that we are always, of course, some of us on our phones, on our laptops, there are a number of distractions. For example, you're in your comfort zone, yes, and some students may not be that dedicated, and you stand a risk of very many distractions. Alternatively, where the other option would be being in a class and physically before a lecture, I think that way that the distractions would be lesser. But talking about the costs, of course, I think the expense remains the same, with the data prices being that high. Yes, because you find, of course, you still have to buy data, do this and that, and the environment you're in, maybe let's say your hostel or your room, might not be that convenient for you to study. So online learning, the education environment is not very friendly.
Okay, thank you. How about you?
I think for me it would go back to the drive. Online education is all about the drive. You need to push yourself, because for example some institutions will probably say if you do not attend this percentage of classes, then you will not qualify for exams. But with online classes, if you don't, you as an individual tell yourself, I'm going to log into this class and I am going to listen to what is being taught in this class, then you will be the one suffering the loss, because now you have to push yourself, because there are definitely people who just log into this class so that at the end of the day when an attendance report is filed, their name shows up that, oh, so and so attended this class. Now about the environment, it's a little tricky. Now for online school, I think it would go back to the family you're from, because some parents will definitely tell you, oh, it's online school, you can just stay at home. But now, how is that home environment you're studying in? Are you able to fully focus, or there are a lot of disruptions? Maybe there are children in the home and they are keeping on shouting each time you to make a presentation in the class. For example, lecturer or PA is going to tell you, your background is very noisy, we are sorry, but we are going to have to pick on another person to explain this concept to us. About the cost of this online school, I think it's different, because now there are institutions that decided to reduce on the tuition because, for example, maybe someone is not going to access specific services. Maybe you're now no longer incurring the medical expenses, for example, going to the school medical unit to access medical care. So maybe they'll remove that from the tuition fees. But for other institutions, because you're now accessing an online library, they are still going to charge you this fee for accessing these books from their library. So I think it would depend on which institution you're in. Yes.
Amazing. When it comes to time for exams, what is the experience when you're just doing an exam online? Does it even give, doesn't it give an opportunity to other students to even cheat?
Well, I wouldn't really call it cheating as such, but the online take-home exam basically gives you opportunity to have a variety of material to do the exam. But however, the marking system is tight because they expect a lot from you. So most times people end up failing the take-home exam. The experience about take-home exam is it puts in you the pressure, because you want to make your work perfect for you to attain those marks, because you don't easily get the good marks, especially if there's a plagiarism test and all that, especially. So you need to have your work really, really good, because the expectation bar is high. So it's really that experience, the pressure is there, the double pressure, yes, than physical.
The same experience, we're not having enough time. We used to have a semester of 4 months.
Yes.
Right now you will find you don't have that enough time. So how are we, able to cover the same syllabus in the same time when we have very, very limited time? Coming to you, Bruce.
Yes, now, of course, online learning is more of a personal initiative. You have to take it upon yourself, make sure that you read and follow up on everything. Now, number one, of course, the aim of learning is to make sure that you understand these concepts, you acquire knowledge actually. That would be the number one aim of learning. So the materials must be availed. And of course, you must ensure that you cover the same workload, because at the end of the day, a syllabus is a syllabus, you have to cover the work under there. So material must be availed.
How?
And
how are you able to cover all that syllabus in just a limited kind of time?
Yes, and okay, when we are learning, we have what we call aims and objectives. That we are learning a specific topic, by the end of it all, we intend to achieve these aims, we intend to achieve these objectives. So that learning must be modified in that way that let's make sure that we cover what is most important because I think you cannot know everything in the world. But when you're studying a certain course or a specific in that kind of arrangement, you intend to cover what is most important. So priority must be given to what is very important, and they only maybe cover that. In the limited time, we see how best we can cover what is very important.
Okay, you know, we might push so hard to finish the syllabus and stuff, but look at the quality of education that we are getting, the quality of students we are having. Are we really going to have value for the education and the investment that we are putting in, starting with you?
Quality of education. I think this all takes us to the drive. The quality of education that you get is not all about who is teaching you what. How much are you as an individual also putting into to get this kind of good education that can take you somewhere. So you have to put in the effort, put in the time, because now online education it's different. It's a new thing we are trying to adopt to. Of initially you're used to a lecturer, for example, coming in front of you and dissecting these different concepts to you within the 4 months. But now there is a lesser period of time. The school is online, but the advantage with online school is that whoever is facilitating you for that session comes with learning outcomes of, by the end of this session we should have learned this and this. So now the person is going to dissect those concepts within that given period of time. But you now as an individual, to get the good quality of education we all deserve and should be able to get, you need to put in effort in order to have a good quality education.
What's your opinion on the quality of
My
education?
opinion on quality basically is, I think it takes two to make something work. So the demand is on the student and also the university as a whole. How are you going to make sure these students learn everything in a short time period, and the student, how are you able to consume this material in that short time period? So for me, I think it's a dedication of the two, the student and the university. Student to put in much more effort to learn whatever has been given, because it's possible to learn whatever has been given to you in that short time period. It's really possible. Go an extra mile of studying to learn. Then the university put in measures to enable the student adapt to the new system. Yes.
Bruce, coming to you, has the government done enough to be able to aid the students and the institutions to be able to adopt the new norm?
Yes, thank you. I don't think at the moment the government has done enough. Yes, I cannot give a detailed comment on that. Of course, you know, maybe they have other priorities or they have a lot on their plate, but I think they can do better. Number one, they can get into maybe, they can make initiatives.
Before we go to what they can do,
yes,
what have they not done?
Yes, what they have not done is giving some of these institutions financial aid in this period of the lockdown, because the education sector has been very hit. And if there is no burden on the institution, the same burden would not be reflected on the students. So I personally think government has really not stood with us in this new normal and in this type of education. They have not come out with any initiative, any government program aimed at helping the youth cope up with this new normal education that is very challenging. Yeah, that is my.
And your suggestion on what you think?
Yes, my suggestion on what I think they should do is them looking at it on how best they can help us with these internet prices, internet providers, how they can mitigate that expense for us, or how best they can support our institutions, come on board with them, and enter into a memorandum of understanding and be like, look, we know your students are facing these and these challenges in this new type of system. So how best can we help you so that this burden does not reflect on the students?
Okay.
Yes.
What's your suggestion on what the government hasn't done and what you would want them to do?
I actually don't think the government has done anything, has not come in totally.
Wow.
It has basically been the initiative of the universities. Well, for me, my comment will be education has really become so expensive. and we need the government to come in and, like my colleague said, to mitigate some of these data costs, for example, because we pay tuition, but you also have to pay the data. It's really expensive. So if the government can come in, take an initiative, talk to these service providers, mitigate something, have a package basically for students learning. Yeah.
Coming to you, if all this is happening, I want us to imagine we are complaining, we are getting complaints from the students from the LDC, Makerere University and other institutions here in the Central, where we do believe the situation is a bit better. At least we have students with skills to be able to use, technology, use computers, use the phones. I want us to put our thoughts to a student who is down in Richinoro and Tungamo district, in Kamonkoli district, deep down in the north in Karamoja. Just put yourself in their feet and imagine how are they able to adapt to this kind of a situation. Someone who has never even held a computer in their hands, someone who has never held a smartphone in their hands. How do we think those guys are able to adopt?
That's a very good question, because when we are accessing some of these rights, for example, the right to education, we are looking at concepts like, is it accessible? Which kind of quality of education are you getting? And on the question of accessibility, we are going to look at, is it economically affordable to you as an individual? Because now, how things have turned is education now seems to be for those who can afford to meet these economic expenses. So now, what happens to this person in a village, in, for example, Kamonkoli? How are they able to go on with their learning, to fully enjoy their right to education when they cannot access some of these gadgets to even have class? So, which means that when something is economically not affordable to this individual, for example, in the village, then it means they are going to be left behind. So now, we can't say that they should find a remedy, them as an individual. They are already in a situation that is very dire. So what I would recommend at such a position is the government to come in, because now they have a responsibility to ensure that they are realizing these rights of their stakeholders. So what should the government do? I would like to buy the opinion of my colleagues Rebecca and both of the government should come and intervene at such a specific point of if someone needs data bundles, they could enter into some kind of agreement with these service providers where at least there is a specific bundle where someone can, for example, strictly attend their classes and be able to realize their rights to education at the end of the day. Or for example, set up, for example, an internet cafe in a locality where people can just come and at least enjoy this right to education. Of course, the government has to do this. It owes its stakeholders.
And we hope the government will be able to do its responsibility. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Rebecca.
Okay.
Thank you, Mary. My name is Ivan Tumukunde, and Youth of Purpose is here to inspire you, but also equip you as a young person. We've been talking about adopting to the new norm and basically looking at the new normal in the education sector. How is the situation affecting the students, but also the country as a whole? What can we do as young people to be able to solve this kind of a challenge, but also as the government, what can you be able to do? I believe the opinions of these young people have been heard and they will be able to be put into consideration. This show is proudly brought to you by the National Secretariat for Patriotism Call, Office of the President, under the theme Uganda First. By doing all that, supporting the young people of this country who we believe will be able to take on the mantle to make sure that Uganda becomes better and better. My name is Ivan Tumukunde. See you next time.
Youth of Purpose, brought to you by Uganda First.
Okubeera n'amaka ageeyagaza kyekimu ku biruubirirwa by'abalimi abasinga abeenyigira mu by'obulimi eby'ensimbi. Erinna Abasirirwa ng'omutuuze w'e Kalangala nga baakyagala nnyo mu ntandikwa gavumenti okubayamba mu bulunzi bw'enkoko.
Amannya nze Nabasire Perufirwanga nga ndi mutuuze ku kyalo ky'Ekibanga LC1 mu Kalangala Town Council, Kalangala District. Natandika okulunda ebyaddala nga nyambibwako NADS. Naganyulwa mu NADS mu mwaka gwa 2009. Bampa enkoko eza broiler 400 ne bampeerako n'emmere ensawo ez'ekkilo 7 zaali ensawo 24.
Ono yeenyumiririza mu misomo n'okubangulwa ebyabaweebwa abalimisa aba disitulikiti kubanga kyaleetawo enjawulo y'amaanyi mu bulunzi bwabwe ekibayambye okusitula embeera z'amaka gaabwe.
Nange nenteekamu okwagala. Kyatambula nagenda okulaba nga nfunyeemu ne kye nali sisuubira. Nze nali simanyi nti nsobola okulunda enkoko ezo nenfunamu. Naye nalunda enkoko kya mukisa mulungi. Bwe nazirunda tesaafiirwa dde nali ntandika butandisi olw'okuba omukugu yannyambangako nnyo nga aleeta eddagala n'atujjanjabira buli kimu nga ne bw'ofuna akazibu katono mukubira ne we ziba ssaawa 2 za kiro ajja. Nafunamu era olw'okuba nafunamu omulundi ogwo ogwasooka nafunira ddala obwagazi okubeera mu bulunzi bw'enkoko era nga nakati nkyabulimu. Newankubadde nga ngenda nyongerako emirimu emirala naye kyo siyinza kivaamu era sikyevuma kubanga kiina we kintuusizza. Okuva 2009 nga tukola twasobola okuŋŋaanya ssente okwongerako egyo emirimu gye twakolanga ne tugula akamotoka aka takisi. Ebiseera ebyo kaali kayitusaamu twakagula obukadde 7.5 mu 2012. Ne tukateeka ku luguudo ne kakola nga naye ne bino tusigadde tubikola obulimi nga mwe tuli n'obulunzi. Naye nga nze nsinga nnyo okubeera ku bulunzi obw'enkoko. Twagenda okulanga eri pulojekiti gye twataddewo eyingiza n'eno ng'eyingiza. Ne kituyamba okwongera okuweerera abaana mu masomero ge twali tetusuubira tusobola okusomesezaamu abaana. Yatusobola otukyusa ne tusobola okuva mu nju eno gye twalimu ne tufuna essente nga tugattako n'endala ze tubadde tukola mirimu emirala tuzimba enju yaffe eno. Naye nga NADS gwe gwali omuntu omukulu. Mu butuufu nebaza gavumenti ya Pulezidenti Museveni olw'okutuleetera NADS.
You were the word at the beginning, one with God the Lord Most High. You're hidden